I don't think every LJN NES game was horrible. There were some LJN games that had a certain fun factor to them despite not necessarily being great games. But one LJN game was not just a bad LJN game. It was possibly one of the worst NES games ever created, in my opinion. We talking Bill and Ted's Excellent Video Game Adventure. So why in the hell did anyone think it needed to be re-released on modern consoles? Well, Limited Run Games thought this was a good idea, so that explains that. They seem to make a lot of bad decisions that they feel benefits them, so hey, I guess. These fools, they made a physical copy for $35, plus a bunch of merchandise you could buy that tied into the Bill and Ted universe, like a skate deck or something, some collectible cards. I guess getting the rights to release a Bill and Ted game a couple years after the third movie finally came out seemed like a good idea. Why not bank on it? Now, if you missed out on that physical edition that has been sold out, if you wanted that for the Switch or the PlayStation, you can now get it digitally as it just released today for under $10. So I grabbed it for the Nintendo Switch, but I collected all my gold coins that I could get in order to try and get this game for as close as to what I think it's worth as possible, which would be $0. But I still wound up having to pay a little over $1 just so I could find out what kind of effort was put into this release. Don't forget, you can collect gold coins for all your physical games that you buy for the Switch, and they get you money off on digital downloads. So that's what I did here. So this collection, it's not just the NES game. You also get the Game Boy game. So that's kind of cool. I've never played the Game Boy one, so I'm really hoping that justifies my purchase today. My $1.28, whatever it was. So what we're getting here, it does look like a bare bones re-release. You have some basic ass display options. You got a few different bezels and scan lines and save states. All stuff that you could do for free on any emulator that's out there. But okay, you also get to listen to the crappy music in the games via a music player. Only a handful of songs. And it's kind of weird. The NES game, when you play it, it doesn't really like you listening to the music anyway. So I guess if you want more, you can go to the music player and keep listening to the music. I don't know, but for some reason, the NES game only plays music for a few seconds when you start a stage, and then it just goes quiet. Seems like whoever programmed this game just couldn't grasp how to loop music or change tracks mid-stage. It's very low effort here, this game. They didn't fix it. It's the same game that was released on the NES, right? So where does it go wrong? Now, if you played the NES game when it first released, you may have been extremely confused like I was. So there's historical figures in the game that have been mixed around in different time periods by some random bad guys. You gotta go find them. Very simple premise that seems to fit in with the IP, but it's not that simple. When the game starts, you're presented with a phone book, and you're given a limited amount of coins. So when you make a selection in the phone book, you have to type that phone number in, but nothing happens. So you have to move through the pages and find one with a new phone number listed below, and it is flashing in red. So there will be two numbers. Type that one in, and now, oh no, you actually don't start the stage yet. Now you're in some sort of time travel minigame. So this part always confused me. It's hard to control. The little phone booth, it spins around and you just got to press the button at the right time to launch it. But you're supposed to get it to the numbers from the phone number that you just typed in. What the hell is the point of that, right? Well, if you mess up and hit the skulls, you lose coins. And then if you want it to just be easy, instead of if you're sitting there wondering for too long and you just sit around, it'll just move the phone booth automatically through the digits and get to the end so you can actually start the game. But it takes your coins from you. So all this crap just to get into the game. So now that we're actually in the game, it does have kind of a neat isometric view, but man, are the controls annoying. And the boundaries within the game, what you can touch, what you can walk on, what you can't touch, what you can't walk on. This was definitely a half-assed game for its time. So you walk along the paths, and if you jump onto the grass, you get stuck. But sometimes you can walk on the grass. Then all the NPCs, they look the same. Some of them steal coins from you. Some of them will arrest you and throw you in a dungeon. And then some will actually help you and give you hints that aren't really as helpful as you'd think. or they may give you items. So the enemies are the ones who are walking around the stages. That's how you could tell. And the good ones, they're actually just standing still doing nothing, but they all look the same. I mean, couldn't they just made like different graphics for the good NPCs and the bad ones? But okay, what are you supposed to do here? Well, you have to find the missing historical figure by luring them out with an item. And these items, they're hidden in random scenery that you have to jump into. That's all this game is you just walk around and keep jumping in the crap. But in between getting stuck everywhere and how big the stages are and how things control, this game is the opposite of fun. It's a slog. It's a messy game that never required getting a re-release in its original state. Why not revisit the property and wrong the rights of the past of, LJN boo-boo-ness by making a fun game? Nope. It's easier to do a no-effort re-release and bank on some strange nostalgia people may have for these crappy games. But okay, that one sucks. It sucks big fat floppy donkey balls. But let's check out that Game Boy game. Hopefully that one's much better than this garbage. So the Game Boy version of Bill and Ted, it's a completely different type of game. It's a collect every item on the screen in order to move type of game, to move on. The phone booth appears once all the items are grabbed. Easy enough. A simple game without any BS you have to do before starting the stage. The graphics are fine for a Game Boy game, I suppose, but there isn't a lot of variety. The different time periods, they just keep recycling enemies. Like you have Abraham Lincoln looking mofos everywhere, dudes who might be Albert Einstein. I don't know. I know the Game Boy has its limitations, so I'll excuse that stuff. But is the game functional and fun to play? Well, I mean, it functions as a game, but it just doesn't do anything exceptionally well. The jumping feels a little off, and you need to be very precise to not fall and die. The controls, they feel a little slippery. Some stages, they'll have like disintegrating platforms that if you waste too much time standing on, you can wind up having no way to finish the stage because the platforms are gone. And then some enemies, with their placement and proximity to other enemies, they may not even give you much of a chance to avoid them. Sometimes it feels like luck in order to get past certain enemies. Now, there are power-ups in the game that can help you get through, but yeah, it's not horrible, it's not great, but it's just not my type of game. But I definitely do say it's way better than that NES Bill and Ted's game. So overall, this is a low-effort retro re-release. I say don't waste your money, or do, I don't care. But this collection, it offers nothing in the way of extras or features or even refinements to the games that make them worth it in my opinion. If you want to subject yourself to this kind of torture, just emulate the titles for free.